This video is brought to you by Brilliant. The topic of organizing my workday has been on my list for a while now. With just moving into a new studio and totally changing my schedule, I realized that this is the perfect time to reflect and share with you on how I plan my day, from my process to the apps and tools. Being able to work from home has given me the freedom of starting off my day as early as my son goes to kindergarten, and that is the time when I combine my first coffee time with my physical notebook, which I use to write down 3 to 5 things that I want to do that day. Now, it used to be 5 to 7, but that was killing me honestly, so 3 to 5 is reasonable. Now, I do that first thing in the morning as early as possible while I'm still not threatened by distractions. The point is not to fail this list. You'll most likely end up not being able to complete some of the tasks, but with each day, you can learn and optimize that list so that you can actually manage to complete it. I used to torture myself when I couldn't cross off everything from the list, even for things that were out of my hands, like the courier not delivering a package for a video that I had planned to work on that day. As I accepted and learned to optimize the list to match the expectations, I began to feel more confident each day. I started to introduce extra items every now and then to complete when possible, and that's different. There's nothing more satisfying than being able to scratch off the last thing off the list in the evening. Now, usually I use a small physical notebook to write down my daily chores, as I sometimes call them, and I do it on paper for a few reasons. First of all, writing on paper has more weight. It feels more significant, believe it or not. Plus, how am I going to experience the satisfaction of crossing things off if it's not on paper? Also, it is on paper because it's not time or date specific. The items I write down don't always have to be work related, by the way. Personal things like working out or doing stuff around the house count too. Whenever there are time and date specific obligations that I need to worry about, they go in my reminders app. Now, I try to create my lists in the order that I will complete the items, where I try to put the most difficult task or the most worrisome one as number 1. For example, the script for this very video was the first task on my list this past Monday, since this is something that I find very challenging and essential to focus on. It is okay if I don't prioritize the list, but I still try to start with the critical task at hand as early as possible and move on from there. Before executing whatever is written down on my notebook, I do my daily digital and workspace cleanup. My place needs to look as tidy as possible for me to concentrate and not find reasons to distract myself with stuff like cleaning when procrastination hits me. That usually involves putting everything into its dedicated place. The reward is coffee, which could be the first or second one of the day. While sipping the black gold, I move on to digital cleanup, which in most cases revolves around deleting temp files from my desktop and downloads folder. My entire digital life is on iCloud. Typically, whatever is in the desktop or in my downloads folder is temporary. However, I need to be careful and move things around that need to be kept in their respective folders before emptying the trash. If you're interested, I have a dedicated video on how I use iCloud to free myself from computer backups and the limits of computer storage, which I'll make sure to list in the description below. Everything YouTube related, like the scripts, ideas, shot lists, and so forth, goes into Notion. This is the software that I prefer to use to organize the channel content calendar. Now, I will be doing a separate Notion overview video very soon. So if you're interested and you're not subscribed, click on the bell icon to get notified. Depending on the day, I will either start working on a new script, jot down a new video idea, or simply start putting together a list of shots for my next video. I write everything in Notion, including the entire script. Still, before I consider a script ready to shoot, I run it through Grammarly to make sure that my English skills have not failed me miserably. Note that I don't use a calendar at all because I hate pretty much all calendar apps, and I use email in moderation, so to speak. While on the topic of email, I was terrible email junkie in the past when I was juggling between 13 emails and constant bombardment of things that were pretty much always urgent, but now email is really low in my priority. I see it no different than any other communication platform. As such, the robotic habit of constantly refreshing my email client is no more, and I tend to check my emails as the last thing that I want to do for a day. This, of course, was an intentional and lengthy process and achievement to do, but honestly, I've never been happier. One way I was able to accomplish this email balance was through an app called Hey. The person and company behind Hey are Jason Fried and the team that had also built Basecamp. Hey is not just an app, but a full email service that does one thing no other email service provides. It prioritizes you, the user, myself, as the one who decides what I want to receive and what I want to allow to bother me or distract me. It is one of the few apps that by default have all notifications turned off unless I explicitly wish to be notified about something or someone. The way I've set up Hey is that I forwarded all my other emails to it and I only reply from Hey when necessary. Thanks to the built-in screener tool and all the other clever features, I've managed to almost unchain myself from the emails of the past, achieving total quietness. It is a marvelous tool that I can spend an entire video on, but I'll stop here for now. Alright, now let's talk about the cutest app that looks more like a game called Focus Plant. When I want to focus on a task like writing a script or coming up with a creative idea, I tend to use this little app to help me stay on track and not overextend myself to a point where I would push everything further in time. If you are a fan of the Pomodoro technique that is very popular right now, even though it was developed in the 80s, you might like this little app. It's a focusing app that basically plants trees and helps you clean the environment by creating greenery. However, you make vegetation through water drops that you can only cultivate by focusing for a specific time frame, like 25 minutes. Setting up a timer to focus and flipping the phone over to preserve battery, the app serves as your Pomodoro timer while also accumulating water droplets that you can later use to plant and grow stuff. It's a gamification technique to help people be less distracted, and it's a fun new attempt for me to try and free up some time for reading and gaming. Of course, there are other apps that are more traditional solutions, yet I'm sticking with this one for now because it's fun. While researching, browsing, and pretty much losing myself in various idea distractions, like purchasing some lights for my new space, I rely on macOS's default QuickNotes feature. In my macOS Monterey introduction video, I talked about this new notes feature, which I have used a lot lately. Similar to iPad OS 15, dragging the mouse to the bottom right corner of the screen summons a QuickNote that expands to a small window for easy and quick access. I use QuickNotes as my daily miscellaneous stuff dropping place where I can dump links, quotes from a website, images, and much more stuff going through my head during the day. Highlighting stuff in Safari has been something that I've been missing for a long time. And since I'm not much of a quotes hoarder, I never felt like paying a monthly fee for a decent save for later highlighting app, so QuickNotes does the job for me perfectly. Now, whenever Focus Planet reminds me to take a break and I'm still in that, deep, focused, dialed-in state of mind, I tend to open Brilliant and smash a few quizzes or embark on a new course like the one that I'm currently taking, which is called Physics of the Everyday. This interactive course investigates everyday physics like axe throwing, the real reason for the yearly cycles of seasons, or simply how a refrigerator works. And no, it's not by making cold air injected into the food compartment, because that requires a lot of energy. Like this course, Brilliant provides other great interactive courses with storytelling, code writing, interactive challenges, and problems to solve, helping you learn to think like a physicist. To support the channel and sign up for free, go to brilliant.org/ThisIsE. And by the way, the first 200 people to upgrade with this link will also get 20% off the annual premium subscription, which is what I use. Thank you, Brilliant, for sponsoring this video. As I've mentioned earlier, when I'm in my early process of tidying the place up throughout the day, I often accumulate various documents on physical paper that I need to keep track of, like accounting invoices. This is when I use my iCloud system and the built-in scanner option within the Files app on the iPhone. Any receipt or document that needs to stay, I scan and put in the respective folder on iCloud. It is effortless, and after so many years, still that satisfying not to have to own one of those big document scanners of the past. With iOS and macOS's new live text feature, things are even more fun and useful because I can easily copy any text from any scan or image and use that to integrate within a document or simply refer to and paste in an email. I'll link my updated how-to playlist to find content like my home productivity monitor guide and my productivity system, which you might find useful. If you have any questions, please list them in the comment section below or ping me on Twitter. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure. This is E, over and out.